The eviction process it's a lawsuit. It is an action for possession of a property. And it's called a detainer warrant. So when a leaseholder, a tenant, violates their contract, the lease, the landlord gives them notice that they have violated it, and then they either have an opportunity to comply, to cure their breach, or the lease is terminated. If the lease is terminated, then the tenant has a certain number of days, either 3 or 5 or 14 or 30, depending on the nature of the lease violation. And if they haven't left the premises at the termination of lease, then the action for possession, they're unlawfully detaining the property. They have no contractual right to be there. So the landlord brings an action for possession, which can also bring a money judgment usually. They get served, they go to court, there's a hearing, and if they lose, then there's a judgment for possession and money judgment entered, and there's a 10-day appeal time. So after 10 days, the judgment becomes final, and then the landlord can go back to the General Sessions Court and get a writ of possession, which is executed by the Sheriff's Department. That set out is the eviction. So everything leading up to that is process, but the moment that the writ of possession is given to the Sheriff's Department, then the sheriff comes and puts everything out on the street. It's a removal from the property, and it's devastating because people lose their property. If it's raining, everything gets soaked. Neighbors steal out of piles. So lots of people just vacate the premises before it ever gets to court. Some of those people vacate without another place to go. And they end up sleeping on a family member's couch or moving into an extended stay. And all of that is really dangerous in a global pandemic. When people get to court, they are both in a heightened emotional state. They're very, very stressed out. They're scared. They are angry. There is a very common tendency for people facing eviction to be deeply hurt because they feel like their landlord doesn't care about them and their kids. They're also under a great deal of stress in not knowing what to expect. When you have a court date in an eviction case, that's your hearing. So lots of times they come to court and they say, well, I have a paper that they signed that says X, Y, and Z. Well, you don't have time to go back and get it. You have to bring all of your evidence to court that day. Then there, of course, the rumor mill is flying. People say, you can't evict me during the pandemic, or I didn't get my notice. And in some cases, notice is not required. And in lots of cases, the moratorium doesn't stop the eviction. So I think it's been really helpful. I've been attending the eviction dockets with Ben Danford at Legal Aid, and the judges kind of make an announcement. If you need to talk about this, go out in the hall and talk to people. It really does help, A, get them the correct information so they don't tank their case, but B, it gives them peace of mind knowing that they have an advocate for them and they have some knowledge about what to expect. The cost of eviction to a family is enormous. They lose personal property. They sometimes have to take their kids out of school or move to a different school district. They lose the community relationships that they've built in the neighborhood where they've been living, and it puts them at risk for exposure to the virus. So the cost of each eviction is very, very high to the family who faces the eviction. It also presents a long-term barrier to being stably housed because they're at risk for lots of unfair fees. It ruins their credit. It keeps them unhoused. It can cost them their job if they have to go look for houses. And so every eviction that we can prevent is a family that we can save from chronic poverty. And especially now when we have a high number of evictions pending and a yet recovered economy, we have to play a long game. Even if we have a vaccine, we have to remember that the lowest income people will take the longest to recover, and this is going to continue to be an issue.